Hello indie game fans, we have a decent week of new indie games with a number of promising titles squeaking in just before the end of the year, spread across quite the variety of genres, so see what's new in this edition of indie gaming this week. Let's begin with Alien Marauder, a title that I recently covered when talking about upcoming real-time strategy games, and it's a survival RTS that has you fending off waves of hostile aliens. As with most modern games, it does appear to be able to support quite a large number of units on screen, so much so that this trailer footage actually started to chug, so I guess performance will be something to watch and will, of course, depend on how powerful your computer is. Still, it is not often that we get games in this space, making it of interest. One of the underrated first-person dungeon crawlers is StarCrawlers from 2017, following in the footsteps of titles like The Legend of Grimrock, where this series is back with StarCrawlers Chimera. This is quite a classic genre that was fairly popular in the 90s, having you explore environments in first person on a grid, but where combat is a turn-based affair. The sci-fi slant here is a neat alternative to the much more common fantasy setting, so let's see if this game lives up to the promise of its Kickstarter campaign. This video is brought to you by Pronty Fishy Adventure, an underwater Metroidvania that is truly a no-brainer pick of the week. If you are a fan of the channel, you will know that I love my Metroidvanias, so it's always nice to see new ideas in the space, being more like Aquaria and Song of the Deep rather than Hollow Knight. Of course, the main differentiator here is that it is underwater, which affects movement and traversal, where our protagonist does even have a javelin swordfish as a companion as the primary form of attack. You're exploring a fallen underwater city filled with dangerous mutated creatures having to fight through to find answers about Pronty's origins. The hand-drawn art looks great as well, and even though it is releasing on Thursday, the developer wants you to wishlist this to give it a little boost in Steam's algorithm, so please do so if interested. One of the underrated roguelike games is Equin the Lantern from 2016, where the developer is back with the sequel, Equin 2 The War and Peace. It is a classic crit-based, turn-based roguelike, more on that in the video linked above, but does zoom into turn-based combat, with all the expected elements of procedural generation and permadeath. While it looks visually similar to the earlier game, I'm curious as to what changes have been made, but even if it is fairly similar, more games in this universe is always welcome. One of the gorgeous looking games that I covered quite a while back is Exo One, an exploration flight sim where you control a spacecraft named Exo One, built by humans from blueprints accidentally sent from Jupiter. As such, the game is described as an interplanetary journey across space and time, with some gorgeous looking visuals to match, and even mechanics related to gravity and momentum as you zip your way across the landscapes, which looks very satisfying. Not sure how much narrative there is here, but it does look like a wonderful, relaxing experience. The developer of Blub Emporium did reach out to me, and having taken a look, I found this to be of interest since it mixes a number of genres. There is a shopkeeping simulation aspect, a farming and foraging portion, as well as a factory builder, where the developer has made a lovely trailer, so enjoy.
I had planned to make this a little more detailed, but I've only got a minute. In saying that, I've just wasted a lot of that, so here's Blub Emporium in less than a minute. Blub's like buying things, so you set up an emporium, stock it up, and make it all pretty using items you collect. What are blubs? Well, they're eccentric, colourful and bouncy creatures that will shop at your emporium. Here's the farm. It's a big chunk of the wilderness. This is where you get resources from. Some resources blubs would love to buy as is, but some others they like need further processing. That's where the factory comes in. Lay out machines and wiring to build contraptions, to process resources into more intricate stock types. Trust me, these are fun puzzles. You can also complete tasks, host events, make it night, spin the wheel, trade with blubs, read mail, wait that's not fun, witness otherworldly occurrences, collect all the items, become rich and decorate everything. And there you have it, Blub Emporium in under a minute.
There are a number of bigger games this week, the first of which is Myth of Empires, a multiplayer sandbox action-adventure title that looks very ambitious, releasing in early access this week. You are carving your path through a medieval world, building fortresses, leading armies and crushing your enemies, with plenty of room for crafting, building and combat. As such, the scope of this game looks to be very broad and has potential, looking pretty good visually as well, but does come to us from quite a large Chinese studio, so it's interesting to see them make their impact in the world of gaming, making this a title of interest.
Cordona's even quieter than I remembered. It's going to be a long evening.
Ah, come now, Sherry. What say we amuse ourselves with a little game?
Oh, promise me it isn't nonsense.
Developer Frogwares has quite a reputation in the space, most recently being in the news since they got screwed over by their publisher for the eldritch horror title The Sinking City, but are known for making B-tier games that can become cult classics.
This hotel, this island, it's full of thieves. First my cane, now the diamond.
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I will investigate and the culprit will be identified.
The next title sees them returning to a familiar IP in Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1, a narrative detective thriller about the famous detective, this time being set in the Mediterranean as young Sherlock investigates the mysterious death of his mother. Looking at their Wikipedia page, apparently this developer has been making Sherlock games since 2002, so 19 years is a very long time to be sticking with a property.
Okay, I give up.
Luca Gallici, I know you murdered Lady Craven and I can prove it.
You are fantasizing, Mr. Holmes.
Holmes, you'll rue the day you gave me my cane when it comes swinging at your head.
That was too much fun, Sherry. I'm buzzing. Buzzing. Wasn't it fun?
Damn. Well, take one last look at the view, then we must be off. It's time to do what we came here for.
Thank you for your purchase. Please come again. You know, if people were a little more friendly in the morning, maybe they wouldn't get all these headaches.
Smaller Games of the Week begins with Arcadia Fallen, a visual novel title that I mentioned in my Gamescom coverage, where you play as a young alchemist unwillingly bound to a spirit who must find a way to escape their own doom and perhaps save the world, with a wonderful art style that I quite enjoyed.
You simply must let me take a look at this device.
Government licensed. Sure. Let's call it that.
Oh, we're having a brawl. Marvelous. You are fooling yourself if you think I'd ever bargain with a demon.
I want change, but I can make it myself. I don't need to make a deal with a demon to get what I want.
I'm mine. I'm a spirit, I believe you would say. A friendly one, though. Don't worry.
This mission cannot fail, and the truth cannot be revealed to the public.
Good evening, Madam Alchemist. I hope you don't mind a bit of a surprise visit. The people of this town might have tolerated you this past year, but I will continue to watch you closely.
I'm Kim, ma'am. I was looking for my brother. He didn't come home last night, you see. You really help? Thank you so much.
Oh, perfect timing. Today's been so slow. I was going quite mad. How are things?
You know the rules. No spoilers.
Far away from the glow of the comfort, you know it's right into the hostile jaws of fate. You must go in this chaos, a hero we need.
Villains are not born. They are made. That does not mean you should pity the villain. It means you should be concerned about how the next one is made.
The delayed CountryBalls Heroes should be launching this week, and is of note since it is a Heroes of Might and Magic-like, a turn-based strategy franchise that is near and dear to my heart, but does have the CountryBalls sense of humour and whimsy. Too many games this week, so I was very selective with the ports, where Fae Tactics gets onto Xbox this week, being one of the best games like Final Fantasy Tactics, more of which you can see in the video linked above. I don't usually cover hidden object games on the channel, but a series that my wife loves is Hero of the Kingdom, with The Lost Tales 2 being the latest entry in the series that looks to be of interest. Jubilee is a neat looking pixel art precision platformer, looking fairly well made with its share of hazards and traps, looking to be for fans of the genre. We have cars, buses, Mars rovers and mechs, so of course there has to be Motorcycle Mechanic Simulator 2021, another first-person sim that has you repairing, upgrading and selling bikes. To be honest, Nick's Space Rebels didn't really appeal to me at the outset, but this is being published by Humble Games, so I'm sure there is something here. It's a physics simulation title that has you building rockets of increasing complexity, looking like Kerbal Space Program but with bottle rockets and everyday items, looking quite interesting. Add one more entry to the adorable animal skateboarding category with Ollie-Oop, a very cleverly named game that looks wonderful, having more of a freeform exploration vibe rather than being a score-focused entry, and could be a neat alternative to Skatebird.
Trying to figure out who's the fastest gun in the West. Toss two guns aside and sell on QUICKDRAW.
QUICKDRAW is a neat-looking pixel art 1v1 multiplayer title simulating the Western shootout, but where the controls are randomized, meaning that it is about reaction time as much as it is about strategy, looking neat with the extra effort taken to make an FMV trailer. A neat looking strategy game is Signals, which has you exploring systems, harvesting resources, and repairing alien devices, where I do love the low poly look and am curious about the gameplay. Snake Force is a top-down shooter with a twist, since rescued units follow you around in a chain like Snake, and should be a free entry as well, so no harm checking it out. If you love shoot 'em ups, Space Moth DX from 2016 is a hidden gem and is being remade as Space Moth Lunar Edition, overhauling the visuals, adding new enemies, attacks and player powers, while remixing the soundtrack and changing up the scoring, making this a no-brainer for fans of the genre. I'm not usually a fan of first-person platformers in games, since if done poorly, can simply be a horrible experience, but one that got my attention is the parkour-focused Spectrolite, set in futuristic environments that look pretty slick, and I do wonder what speedrunners will do with this game. There have been a number of games that attempted to do the medieval tavern simulator, none of which have really stuck with me, with the next game to try being Tavern Master, so let's hope this will be the one for me. That Flipping Mountain is a frustration platformer or rage game that is inspired by getting over it, more examples in the video linked above, having an interesting control scheme as the character needs to rotate and stick the landing, with some clever ideas on speed and momentum, looking pretty polished if minimalist in design. A gorgeous third-person action-adventure game from last year is The Pathless, coming to us from the creator of Abzu, where its Epic Games Store exclusivity expires and is coming to Steam this week. Like Motorcycle Mechanic Simulator, Toy Tinker Simulator is a first-person entry that has you repairing toys, looking pleasant in that house flipper kind of way, and should be pretty neat.
Dude, is that the door to our right?
Yeah, this is the one.
What? No.
Rounding off smaller games is Unsafe, a 1 to 4 player co-op horror title set in a creepy space station, looking like GTFO or Phasmophobia, but is pretty decent graphically and may be interesting.
Where's the button? No shit!
Let's kick off the top 5 with Moncage, a perspective-focused puzzle game which I previewed when looking up the best games of the month. It has you fiddling with a cube, which has different worlds and scenes on every face of it, having to align objects in order to solve the puzzle. I do love my optical illusions, which means that this appeals to me, but I'm curious as to how much meat there is on the bones of this game.
Once upon a time, our lands teemed with creatures great and small. The beauty of the worlds was unrivaled. The people thrived and lived in harmony with the land around them.
I love my farming and life sim titles, and a wonderful, pleasant-looking game is Grow, Song of the Evertree, one that has you trying to restore life to the Evertree, growing seeds, crafting items, and getting to know and helping the residents of the town. There are also exploration and adventure elements where you delve into ruins and caves, but critically, I don't believe there is any combat in this, being quite a wholesome and cozy game. That is not surprising since this developer made the similarly non-violent entry Yonder the Cloudcatcher Chronicles from 2017, making this a title of interest.
With support from their friends and with boundless determination, this young soul seeks out a way to push back the withering and bring life back to our world.
one of the very long in development titles finally makes it to launch with the pixel art entry Undungeon, starting off as an ambitious action roguelite with multiple playable characters, but has since been streamlined into a straightforward action-adventure game. It was kickstarted 4 years ago but went through development hell, which forced the publisher to step in 2019, so let's see how the final product turns out. This next title is actually paid DLC, where Kingdom Two Crowns Norse Lands is the next expansion to the side-scrolling strategy game, of course being themed around Norse mythology, where the developer made a wonderful narrated trailer, so I'll leave you to them.
A land and people of legendary strength await your reign in the Norse lands, the epic new expansion to Kingdom Two Crowns. Here, there is no divine right. Prove your worthiness to lead as the strongest and most able. Cold winters and new enemies will push you to the brink. Never give up. Rely on the strength of your fellow Norsemen and call on mighty powers to drive your ships to new lands. You don't try the land of ice and snow. You live it. The strength to survive builds deep appreciation for each new day, and united in determination, thrive. As their leader, their Jarl, you must be crafty, daring, and hard. You direct their efforts, and when needed, remind them that failure is not an option. We know our first duty is to build and prepare for the cold days ahead, clearing the land, sowing our fields, raising our homes. And when battle calls, all your countrymen are armed and trained to answer. When our settlements grow strong, our thoughts turn to the sea, the green fields on the other side. As we expand, so too do the tides of war. We do not need the stone walls of the Southerner. Our people form shield walls capable of repelling the strongest new invaders. When inspired, our berserkers know no rival on the field of battle. Rich can be the rewards of rule. Mighty steeds befitting of your success await. And should you prove your wisdom in their tests, the gods will bestow mighty powers to you. Before your might, no enemies shall stand. Become the overlord of legend in Norse lands.
It has been 15 years since the fall. 95% of the world's population was wiped out in a matter of weeks. Those of us left were either lucky or immune. But now, that is all changing. It's growing stronger, more malignant, more volatile. We can try to fight it, try to deny its effects, try to outlive it. But this is the last stand.
Another title that I previewed was The Last Stand Aftermath, an action roguelite set in the zombie apocalypse, which, while probably overdone at this point, does still look pretty fantastic. The interesting hook is that your character is already infected, so it's only a matter of time, where you decided to go out in a blaze of glory by taking out as many zombies as you can to make a dent in the horde, looking to be an action-packed title of interest, taking the #1 spot. For more roguelites, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.